All right, we are back into it, getting it in. All right, it's getting there. It's getting there. All right, guys, listen. You're going to have to get your pen and paper again for this one. I had to take notes. I had to take notes on this, so I'm going to be looking down. Let's go ahead and get into it. The question is the value grab is your job description, your job description, your job description. As the computer said, it's 3 a.m. We are getting it in. All right. So here's the deal. When you guys are putting together your job description, it should be doing two things for you. It should be defining, it should be providing definition parameters, it should be giving you clear lanes to run with, and it is also going to be providing you focus. All right. The definitions focus. It needs to be your day-to-day operations. It also needs to include levels of authority and who that person is reporting to. So, for an example, if you are going to be reporting to the CEO or the CFO or the CMO, or maybe you just have a manager that you're going to be reporting to, that it helps to have that situation outlined in the job description. I know sometimes that's not in there, but there is a reason why, because there's two sides of the job description. One is so that you can help source and help identify candidates before you offer them the position, and then on the back end, it's going to provide guidance as far as when they're on and they're actually working. So you're going to be able to say, okay, this is the roadmap. We hired you as a retail store manager. It says in the job description you open 9 to 5. It's kind of like your preliminary contract. It's setting the expectations. It's saying, hey, this is what I expect from you beforehand, and then when they actually have the job, you revisit that to remind them this is what I expect. And you also use the job description regarding performance evaluations, and you use it as a tool to say, okay, you're doing great here, here, and here, here, but you're messing up maybe here. This is where we have room for improvement, and etc. So you want to be able to have something consistent that you're able to continuously refer back to. Now, within the job description, there's going to be times where you're going to have analysis and audits. You have to have that. Your analysis on the job is like new jobs. So, like for an example, if you need to have a virtual assistant, I mean, the first question you need to ask yourself is, do you need this actual opportunity? And I've got some questions that you're going to write down, and these are going to be just some basic questions. It's like 8 of them that you're going to be able to say, okay, you answer these, and this will tell you if you need the job. But that's your analysis. That's when you're basically using theory, and you're coming up with possible tasks, things like that that person is going to be doing. Then you have existing jobs. Existing jobs is where you're going to actually implement an audit, which means um, there's going to be tasks on your job description that you first, when you did your analysis on, when they're actually doing that role is fulfilled, you may find out, hey, you know what? I don't need them doing this, but I need them doing that. I don't need them, cleaning out, or I don't need them sweeping out the gym, or I don't need them cleaning the restrooms anymore. I need them making phone calls. And that's where the audit comes in, where you're able to delete and add. So let's get into some of these. Oh, wait, 1 second. Before explain. All right, so before with your job description, the job description, I just want to make sure I make these points. One, it explains the job. Two, it's a criteria for the candidates. I went over that. That's before they get hired. After you hire them, it it's a tool for performance and a roadmap. Okay, great. So we covered that. All right. So let me go ahead and give you guys these questions. All right. So this is do you need the job? Do you need the job? All right, we have 16 questions that we're going to go over. What is the purpose of this new job? Write that down. What is the purpose of this new job? Two, who is presently performing these tasks? If it's outsourced, put down outsourced. Uh, Three, how long have employees who presently perform these tasks been overloaded? That's if that situation is that's, for example, if you have a manager at your establishment and they're cleaning, they're cooking, they're They're at the front desk, they're answering the back end. What happens is that when you overload your employees, they're going to quit. It doesn't matter how loyal they are, or how much they love the product or service that you're offering. You have to understand their employees and not employers. They're not your partners. They're employees. You pay them for their time and then they're off to the next. It's different when they're an equity, when they're a partner, they're investors. That's different because then they have a inherent benefit overall success of the particular company or brand. If that's not the case and they're just an employee, they don't have an equity stake, and I ain't talking about 2% either, but if they don't have an equity stake, do not overwork them at all because they will quit. And if they quit, then you have to go through the process of finding new people, interviewing them, spending money on advertising, recruiting, and things like that, right? So do not overwork your employees. You never want an employee to work more than 5 days a week. Never. Absolutely never. Like, not at all. You give them 2 days off. You make them take those days off because their family also has an impact on if they're going to stay or not, whether they're living with their family or not. Their family be like, oh, man, you working 7 days a week, man. You need to, well, they slaving you out there. They doing you dirty. You don't need to be out there. You need to come up here and, yeah, this ain't the job you want, but, at least you get some days off. Or, hey, you know what? This right here, at least you get a time to have your personal life, family members usually are going to be like that. So, you never want to overwork. All right, let's get right back to it. All right, let's see. Is this added business the result of a cycle, or is it? Don't worry about that. Where will it be the initial goals of this position? All right, yeah. What are the initial goals of the position? You need to understand what they're doing, what value they're bringing to you, and how that is important. Okay. Let's see. What is the best that can happen? Okay, yeah. What is the best that can happen if we could fill this position with a good person? Meaning, like, what are all the upsides if you happen to get this phenomenal person that you want? What are the upsides here? So this will allow you to be able to get more goal oriented and focus on the end result. Because again, hiring people is going to cost you money, time, and energy. Is there enough work for a full-time position? Can it be performed by a part-time employee? All right. So here's the deal. All right, we know as employers, hiring a full-time employee is more expensive than a part-time, mainly based on the laws and the benefits and things like that. Part-time, they can come in on hourly. That's one thing. Full-time, 40 hours plus, they're an established situation. So, you want to be able, in my view, and when I say in my view, I'm talking general small business practices. This is not going to be applicable for mid-sized businesses or larger operations. I want to be clear. My background is small business operation, entrepreneur. As an entrepreneur, my hiring practices previously, before Buckhead Staffing, previously was part-time. I'd rather have 3 or 4 part-time assistants than 1 full-time assistant. Now, that was when I was just getting started, when I was still learning how to hire folks. I wanted to mitigate my risk of one person just quitting and then me having to start all over from scratch. In addition to that, it was also a money thing because I had some people that were willing to take a considerable amount of money less than others. Someone who's full-time, they are going to expect at minimum a living wage and to be able to pay their bills. And at the time, my companies, when I was starting out, was not generating that amount of revenue. So part of this question is what is your strategy if you have one at all? Maybe you're funded and you can go ahead and hire somebody full time and you can just get them on. And that has been very successful for me once I was able to secure capital and move forward. But previously, it was starting out. It was small time assisting here, virtual assisting here. You just kind of mix and match it based on what you can afford. And then from there, we end up moving into reducing the amount of staff as far as instead of 3 or 4, it went down to 2. And then the best one, went to a full-time position. So that's part of a strategy question that you need to ask. And this is part of, do you need the job? Do you need the job? At the time starting out, I didn't need the job. I didn't need to create a full-time position. I just needed part-times to be able to come in and supplement. So I just want to be clear about what we asking these questions for. Is there enough work? Can some of the overload duties be switched to another area within the same department or location? For an example, start out small business. Chances are you probably do not need a PR person. Chances are you don't need it. Your PR can be literally handled by your marketing team. literally. Like the press releases and a couple of the articles, the requests for articles to be created, that can be sourced. Like you can literally have your copywriter produce press releases for you. You can have the person who is doing your ad spend literally go over the EIN press wire and submit the the article that was a press release article, have that done, and just have them send it over. You do not need to hire a PR person, because a PR person is going to charge you probably minimum $1,500 at least a month if they're decent at all. And that's something that can be outsourced over there. You know what I'm saying? If you got someone who's doing calls, you probably don't need to hire a full-time person or a person who's going to come into work 20, 30 hours a week at your brick and mortar location to answer phones. You can probably outsource that to a virtual assistant. So that's just to give you kind of like an idea of, do we need to hire this? Do we need to hire this person? Do we need to create this job? All right. Let's see. Is there a true need, or can the systems in this function be streamlined for better productivity? What this is saying is that, can you innovate? Can you innovate your systems to be able to facilitate whatever you need? Like, for an example, did a consultation. The person was, again, running traffic straight into the website. We went and then we've added in a virtual assistant, some software to be able to create bookings, and then from there we were turning the daytime manager into a salesperson that was going to inevitably give a tour and then close them. That was an innovation that that it created a streamlined system, because we had a virtual assistant, but we also had a booking system in there as well. So that way the person who was actually doing the tours and actually doing the actual close, all they had to do was literally look at the calendar every day, and they can see all the appointments they had listed for that day and the next day and the day after that. So that was part of streamlining the sales system, is that we have somebody who's going to be able to give a human touch to get these bookings to go through, to populate this calendar, so that the people can then go in there and close deals and make more revenue. All right. We are on number 10. How much will this, remember we skipped one if you want. How much will this new position cost? Phenomenal question. You want to have an idea of how much time you need. This is, again, a part-time question or a full-time question, and how much you're willing to pay. All right. The more you pay, I like to say, the higher expectations you can have. If the average market for a graphic designer is $60,000 a year, and you're willing to pay $100,000, then you can ask this person to do a lot more and be more dedicated because of the pay. However, if the average position is going for $60,000 and you're only offering $30,000, I'm not saying that you should receive lesser quality. I'm not saying that at all, but just simply putting things in perspective. Like, if you're only paying this person $30,000 and they're supposed to be getting paid $60, the market is holding $60, then be mindful. Be mindful. You know what I'm saying? You get what you pay for. Just be mindful. All right. Let's move to the next one. Is there a sufficient labor market to choose from? Meaning, when you put out an ad, or if you have us doing it, or whoever, are we getting enough candidates in? If we put out an ad and we spend $1,500 on putting in advertising that position, and we only get like one or two people to respond, you need to be, you need to evaluate the market. You need to understand, like, hey, you know what? We spent $750 per person to get these two leads in. You might want to get down. You might want to choose one. And let me go back to just one question. Go back to the previous question. When you guys are figuring out how much that position is going to cost, one of the things that I personally like to do is when I acquire a company, or when I'm in a company, I like to be able to do every single position. I just need to get a feel for it so I can understand what's involved, even if I do it horribly. Whether it's loading up a truck, loading up a dock, whether it's doing accounting, whether it's creating ads, whether it's leading a board meeting, whatever it is. I like to have a little bit of experience so I can have an assessment of time. I want to be able to have a value of the time that it takes in order to get that job done, so that I'm able to assess how much money really needs to go into it and how much time is involved. Okay. You just add those hours up. It's real simple. And you just get a ballpark number. You know what I'm saying? If you have a moving company and you know that loading up a tractor trailer or loading up a tractor, if you know that is going to, generally speaking, with 2 to 3 guys, is going to take you 6 to 8 hours to do with furniture, then you're able to have that as a ballpark to be able to say, okay, 3 guys, 6 hours, market is $22 an hour. Say we're going to pay them 19. That's how you're going to calculate the day rate, and then from there you move on to the week, bi-week, monthly. You get what's going on. All right, let's get back on track because we have several things to cover here. How much is there efficient labor? All right. Will this position exist 24 months from now? That's huge. That's huge. Will this position be available in 24 months, in 2 years? That's massive. Because if you do not have a position that's going to be available in 24 months, 24 hours. If you don't have a position to be available in 2 years, then strongly encourage you to try to innovate a streamline that is going to be able to outdate that 24-month guideline. A strong recommendation is to try to put software and try to solve for that solution now. Do not create that job. You know what I'm saying? Do not create that job. Figure your best way out how to create a system that's going to allow for that not to be there. Because last thing you want to do is hire someone, let them be on for 2 years. Then when that position is no longer there, not only do you have to let them go or possibly transition them into another role, but you still need to fix that service. But it's a great question to ask yourself. Is it going to be there in 2 years? Have you checked with all the parties involved to determine if everyone feels there is a need? Meaning, again, what a previous video I talked about delegating the hiring process to the immediate supervisors. Have you checked with them and say, hey, do you need this? If they say no, then listen to them. How will other departments view adding this new position? Meaning, if you have a creative director, if you have a, let's say you got a small operation, all right, you're the owner, you got a person that does your creative content for you, let's say ads and videos, and then say that person also does your website, right? And then you have the operations guy, then you have your taxes and accounts. If you bring in a CMO and that person's been there, and you bring in a CMO and they're supposed to report to that CMO, you are setting yourself up for a conflict. You're setting yourself up for resentment. You're setting yourself up for waves to be in your ocean. So be mindful that new positions should be supporting existing positions, not necessarily creating new positions because nepotism or this guy was really phenomenal or this major company, we want to bring him in on ours because we think he's going to. That is something that you do not want to rock the boat. In my personal opinion, you do not want to rock the boat in that fashion. Now, there are some times where you're going to have to bring in some folks to do some specialty work. We got that, but I'm saying that be mindful that you creating new positions, and especially when you're not considering the folks that's been holding you down previously, I've seen it create waves. But at the end of the day, it's your company. Do what you need to do. What impact, we're on 15, what impact will the creation of this new position have on the jobs from which the tasks are being removed? What impact will the creation of this new position have on the jobs from which? So again, if you bring in that CMO and you thinking that you're going to dissolve those other little departments that you have, and the CMO is going to handle it, be mindful. All right. That question was kind of weak. I like to give you guys the real juice. What is the worst that can happen if we don't create this position? So you've got the previous one where you got the goods. What's the best thing can happen? What's the worst thing that can happen? If you find out that the worst thing can happen is pretty much nothing, you probably do not need this job. You probably do not need to create this job. You probably need to outsource it or create a new system within it that can incorporate whatever you're looking for. However, if you've got something over here that says, hey, if I created this job, it's going to be great, and we discover if we don't create this job, all these horrible things will happen, then chances are you probably need to create that job. All right. Now, a lot of information on do you need the job. All right. There's probably about 13 really good questions in there. The point of me giving you these questions is that I want you to be able to ask yourself just these basic questions to see if you need the job, not want, need the job. Now, I have 8 questions for the job analysis. The job audit. So 1, what duties does the person perform to complete the job? What duties does a person perform to complete the job? Write that down. This is the job audit, okay? Job audit. This is important because if you have somebody and they're, you put them in and they are a virtual assistant, and you have them doing callbacks off of a pop-up that's on your website, you discover that okay, that form also has a phone number, but it also has an email in there. Their job, you may have just put virtual assistant just to give callbacks, but now you need to go back and you say, oh, I don't need you to just do callbacks. I need you to do callbacks. I need you to text them. I need you to email them. And then I need you to take their email and put it into our email marketing system. I need you to take their phone number and put it into our SMS marketing system as well, so that we can get the campaigns going, so that we can continuously be in contact with them. All right. So that's what that question is. What tools, services, and/or accommodations does a person need to complete these duties? Something like that is generally speaking hardware. Does this person have a phone? Do they have a computer? Do they have internet access? That's generally what that is about. All right. If you are talking about like a specific job, like a tattoo, they're gonna need their gun, they're gonna need inks, they're gonna need needles, medical stuff, all that other stuff. So what do they need? 3, who supervises a person in this position? 4, with which other people does this person interact both in and out of the organization? Who are they in contact with? All right, that's important for mitigation reasons. 5, is the person performing the job able to complete all the duties in the time allotted? Are they procrastinating? Are they productive? That's what 5 is. What formal training does a person need to perform this job, if any? Formal training includes accounting, software development. You get the point. 7, what skills does a person need to complete this job? Include technical, all the other good stuff. What do they need? And 8, how is this person performing this job evaluated? So again, we go back to that tool when we talk about how is this person performing the job that's being evaluated. We go back to the job description, and we say, hey, this is our guiding light. This is our roadmap to success. That's why the audit is important, so that the audit can be up to date. And it also helps you so that if you have to replace this person, you have a job description you can go ahead and put out. Now, let me tell you guys something real quick, and we're about to wrap it up. Most companies do not have job descriptions. Most companies are ran by entrepreneurial hustlers like myself. We are putting out fires left and right, and a lot of times we don't have job descriptions. So we're generally speaking, we're looking for someone to come in and just pretty much plug the hole. Understand the objective is to get money, serve the customer, and we're going to grab you and we're going to put you in, and we need you to figure it out. That has been a learning curve for me, and having job descriptions allows you to have a much more efficient team. See, when I was operating like that, and this is my personal reflection time, when I was operating like that, it was from the hip gunslinger. It was like boom, 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 and you're knocking them down. You're getting it done, but you are not creating a business. A business needs to have systems and policies and procedures, so that when you exit, you don't have to try to sell someone on your goodwill or blue sky. You want to be able to say, I have a system in place for every situation, and that makes it very attractive to an investor or an acquiring fund to say, hey, this system, this company is built out properly. The systems are in place. We have metrics in place. We have KPIs in place. We have numbers, forecasts, projections. We have everything that we need in place. And though we are not focused on the money right now, we are focusing on the staff. Your staff is why your business is going to be as valuable as it is. Every major company has staff, people that are working there. It's not just, you won't be able to find a company that's worth, billions of dollars and it's just one person running it all. They all have someone. So this is to help you find those great folks. You're going to need job descriptions to help curate those great folks, because this is their first impression of you. This is what they're going to be reading. I hope this makes sense. I hope you get tons of value out of the job description, why it's important, how you need to analyze it, how you need to audit it, what kind of questions that you should be asking in reference to, do you even need this job in the first place, all the way down to how do we audit this job so that we can keep this job description, so we can keep it up to date moving forward, using it as a tool to measure someone else's performance after the job, and then setting the proper expectations before we give them the offer. With that being said, peace.